All right, welcome everyone. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. We have an amazing session that we're going to discuss today where we focus on communication for the September campaigns. Like I just mentioned, we have 100% of the people that are viewing this week. So if that's what you want to do, that's obviously perfectly fine. But otherwise, click on the top link in the Facebook post because that's what will give you access to the live chat, which is always where the magic takes place. But let's dive into the week and some of the exciting updates. So thank you for those of you who selected your campaigns by last night. We appreciate that. We will actually extend the deadline because we are using the new technology, the new dashboard. So it allows us to implement these faster than ever before. So you can actually, if you have not selected your campaigns for any reason, you can pick them by this Friday. But please make sure that you do it by this Friday because we want to make sure that you have everything with ample time to make the next month extremely successful. And what's going to be really cool about this is that we are going to be using the new SynMind dashboard when it comes to the implementation of these campaigns. This is what you could just do for yourself, but we'll get you started for the month of October, and then you'll be able to dive in and do it for yourself as of September 1st and begin to plan out the rest of your year, plan out the next few years if you wanted to. It's really a powerful technology. The dashboard allows you to send out your own emails, post your own blogs, add your own events outside of just the event library. It allows you to use anything that we've ever created when it came to Holy Grail campaigns. So the power is in your hands. Plus, and we posted this on Facebook, we have over 200 videos and audios in the Academy that talk about marketing, culture, sales, communications. I mean, it is extremely powerful information. All of this lives inside your website. So please be on the lookout over this week and next week because we will be reaching out to you individually. There's just like certain things we need from you when it comes to the integration between your website and social media and a few other things as well that we're going to need from you. So we'll be reaching out through phone and through email so that by September 1st we're just rocking and rolling with this. It's going to be a ton of fun. What we want to do now is we really want to dive into some of the last minute tips for the August campaigns in spirit of communication, because the communication session always is the longest because we create a mind map for every one of the campaigns. We go through that mind map. So we're going to kind of blow through this. We're not going to ask for too many questions until the end so we can just see where we are on time. But within the spirit of communication, I was thinking about it this weekend, like what does it take for a chiropractor to succeed? Like what does it take to reach your next level, whatever that means to you? What does it mean for you to have the impact that you desire? And everything really boils down to three characteristics. And this has nothing to do with chiropractic. This has to do with success in life. One thing is an incredible sense of certainty. You absolutely believe with every fiber in your being with regards to what you're communicating about, what you stand for. You have such certainty around that. The other element is empathy. What does that mean? Well, that means that you can connect with people. You understand where they are, so ultimately, eventually, they will go to where they know they need to go with you. And the final piece is hustle, that you're willing to put in the effort, you're willing to put in the time. And what motivated this is that I actually had a chiropractor that reached out to me last week, and it frustrated me to the point where I am communicating this, so if this person's watching it, I am speaking about them, but I think it's okay because they need to hear this. But they were talking about how they've tried so many things and like nothing really works, they just can't build momentum, like blaming the world for their lack of success when it comes to what it is that they desire. And what it comes down to is there's no hustle, there's no empathy, and there's no certainty, because those are the three characteristics for your success. And what it comes down to is how badly do you want it? There's all these studies that have taken place with regards to the experts in history or the most incredible artists of our time and musicians that have taken their game to the next level. And there's discussion around how you need to input 10,000 hours to absolutely own the skill, to own the craft. And my question for you as a chiropractor during the month of August, where you're taking your practice to the next level, because that's what every month should represent, have you put in the time to master the art of communication, master the art of certainty and of empathy and of hustle, because that's what it's going to take. So really, in spirit of communication, the goal is to think about that, introspect on that, because your success is based on your certainty, your empathy, and your hustle. And what motivated this is the chiropractor who told me that they've tried everything and nothing's working. And to me, that's a story that's holding that chiropractor back, because all of us are given the same amount of time. You're doing similar campaigns to one another. And if one chiropractor is able to make it a success, that means that all of you should be able to. There's nothing that that individual doctor has other than you, other than the fact that maybe they have more certainty, maybe they can empathize in a deeper level, and maybe they're hustling more. Those are the three characteristics that are so critical for your success. And I just want to make sure that you recognize that. Dan, just want to go over the recap of last week's call, because it was really a fantastic call.
Sure. Last week, for those of you who attended, we spoke about internal marketing, and internal marketing is all about engaging your existing audience. So these are the kinds of things that you should have already started doing. If you haven't started doing them, get on it and really start promoting this, promoting your campaigns internally immediately. So what we talked about was a couple of the fundamentals. So empowering your staff. Make sure that your staff is excited about these campaigns. You want to have them talking to patients about it, getting people signed up. You want to sit them down and explain exactly what's happening with the event, you know, from beginning to end, because some of them may not be aware, so that they can then communicate that with your patient base. This is incredibly important, because when your staff is bought in, then the people who your staff talk to, which is basically your entire patient base, are excited as well. So that's really important. The next one, pattern interrupts. So we talked a lot about how you can break people's patterns when they walk into your office. They're walking in their own pattern, their everyday life. And if you are able to break that just for a second, then they're kind of caught off guard, and they are prompted to ask something. So the idea is to have them ask a question. If it's a dinner table in the middle of the waiting room, or if it's a bunch of capes put up on the wall, or whatever your pattern interrupt is for that month. We've introduced all the campaign-specific ones last week. Make sure that those are happening in your office and that your staff is really excited about it once again. A pretty simple one, which is put the save the date cards in your mailings and put them in stacks in the waiting room, places where people will stop and spend a little bit of time, often when they're signing in at the front desk. Next one is make sure that you put up posters in the bathroom. That's that's one place people overlook a lot. And make sure people give people the permission to come to your events. People forget this a lot. For those of you watching, which is pretty much everyone but Mike. What's up, Mike? Those people are not assuming that they can invite other people to your events. So you want to give them the permission and the opportunity to invite other people to whatever campaign that you're running, whether that's a workshop, even a teleseminar, calling into a number. So that's something that you should keep in mind, and you should always vocalize that and say, I would love for you to invite any friends that you would like to come, or who would benefit from this kind of event. And then the last one is quantifying your goals. Your internal marketing is driven in part by the incentives and goals that you set for yourself and your staff, and how you keep yourself and your staff accountable to those goals. So quantifying your goals, such as number of new patients, number of people showing up for a campaign, number of people who came in as referrals from those from your existing patient base. Those are the kinds of things that you should track. And those are the things that you should set goals for and say, we want to get 30 new patients this month, and that breaks down by week, X number of patients per week, per day, and your staff can be bought into this if you set incentives up. So you could either bonus them, you could give them a day off, you could bring them to a retreat, you could go to a movie together, whatever that is, whatever your culture dictates. That's something that you should put out there and say, if we achieve our goals, we will celebrate as a team. And that's an incredibly important thing to keep in mind when you're thinking about internal marketing. It's not just to your patient base that you're marketing, but you're also in some ways marketing to your staff, because they need to be bought in just as much, if not more, than the staff or the patients that they're talking about the campaign to. So that's the last thing to keep in mind for internal marketing.
That was a great job. Yeah, really nice overview. And for those of you that want to dive deeper, just watch the previous SynMind. You can go to synpractic.com/replays, and you'll be able to watch the previous SynMind. So let's keep going. And once again, for those of you, because we keep seeing the viewing number is increasing, For those of you who are just viewing, if you want to enter the live conversation, just click on the top link in the Facebook post, and that will enter you into the live conversation. So some reminders for the week. The J&G Timeouts is going to be on August 20th. That's Wednesday at 2 o'clock Eastern Time. And the topic this week is on keeping your composure and solving a problem, even when you want to strangle someone. This is a really good topic because think about it. Your staff, they're human, and there could be times that there's a patient who's a little bit of a pain. And how can they really keep their composure, solve a problem, even when they're like frustrated to no end? Really insightful program for them. And then for the business pros, which is also on Wednesday, August 20th at 12 o'clock Eastern Time, this is going to be part 2 that Dan is hosting on getting Twitter up and running, and he's going to dive into some more specifics. He has mastered the actual strategy of growing a database through Twitter. We've been using this with chiropractors, and it's just been exceptional. So take a look at this training because there's so much that you'll be able to gain from this. And then when it comes to emailing our team, we just want to simplify and streamline everything. So you can send all requests, whether it's website related or marketing and SynMind related, send it to support@synduit.com, support@synduit.com. The other email addresses will still work, but we're just trying to streamline everything to make it easier for all of you. So let's talk about some universal communication strategies. These are the strategies that would apply to all of the campaigns. Dan, do you want to run with this one?
Sure. So overall, these universal marketing strategies, for those of you who are new and aren't aware, these apply to all the campaigns, and you can basically take any of them and apply them to whatever you're running for this month, for next month, and going forward. So the basics of communication strategies, we want you to think about what we always call an emolectual connection. And we've got training on this at synpractic.com/emolectual. But what you should keep in mind is that you want to bring your listeners, your audience, the people that you're talking to, whether this is a one-on-one conversation or you're speaking to a room, you want to bring them through a specific sequence. Why, how, what, who, and why. You want to talk about why whatever you're talking about is important, why this campaign is important to them, and how it's relevant to their life. You want to talk about how. How will you deliver on the why? That's the intellectual part of the conversation. So if you're talking about a flu workshop, the why is going to be, why it's important to be educated about, what's in the flu shot and the risk associated with that. The how is going to be, I'm going to be delivering a workshop on the flu shot that you're able to learn. So the way that you deliver on this mission that you're on to educate about the flu shot is your workshop. So that's the how. The what are the benefits? How do they benefit from this workshop? How do they benefit from learning more about the flu or whatever campaign that you're running? So this is where you can basically introduce the things that you're going over in the workshop, the talking points, the things that they'll learn basically. The who is exactly who this particular campaign is for. So you can identify 3 or 4 characteristics of somebody who would be perfect for a flu workshop. Say, maybe they had the flu last year, or maybe they've been asking about it. Maybe they have kids. These are things that you should think about that would be ideal prospects and ideal candidates for this particular event. It doesn't have to be this flu workshop. It's whatever you're running. So think about who would be the perfect type of person and what are their characteristics to come to whatever campaign that you're running, and then you tell that person, you say, this is going to be perfect for somebody who, and then insert all the characteristics. And then you want to end where you began, which is on the why. So you want to reintroduce the mission behind this event, what you want to achieve through this campaign, the kind of impact that you want to have, and that creates a circularity in their mind and completes the picture, so that you've painted this picture of why it's important, how they can benefit, what you're going to be doing to deliver on the why, who it's perfect for, and if you're describing them, which is often the case, then they can really connect with it. So that's how you establish that emolectual connection, and we've got a really, really deep training that Jared did at synpractic.com/emolectual, so I encourage you guys to check it out if you haven't seen it yet. Some other basics, universal stuff. Look people in the eyes when you're speaking with them. A lot of people don't do that. They look at their eyes and then glance to the side or glance at the wall. that's something that is a habit. So you should be aware of it when you're speaking to somebody, and make sure that you look at them in the eyes, because the connection is like 20,000 times stronger. Next one is be prepared to communicate at all times and in all environments. So you need to be ready at the supermarket. You need to be ready, when you're driving home and you're at a stoplight and the next person is clutching their neck behind the wheel. Yell out to them. That's where you need to establish yourself and be able to contribute. Because when you do that and you're comfortable enough to engage people in all environments, imagine how powerful you can be in your own office. So think about that and how you can connect with people in any environment and in all situations. Make sure that you utilize the momentum factor of each event. So this is the next communication strategy. So make sure that at the end of each event, whether it's a workshop, a teleseminar, a referral campaign, whatever, when people come in and they're talking to you about this referral opportunity, you want to use that as a conduit to promote your next event or your next campaign. So you, at the end of a teleseminar, talk about the upcoming workshop, let people know about it, give them the website address, and promote it so that they can kind of ride on the momentum of what they just went through and sign up for the next one, get friends involved, and all that kind of good stuff. Now, the final thing is to enter the conversation that your patients are having. So you need to empathize with them. And this is really going to tie into the empathy map that we're going to be talking about today. But you want to think about what's in their mind, what kind of challenges that they're experiencing, what they're thinking about. Because if you can latch onto that and then build a conversation around it, it's going to be a much more relatable conversation and a much stronger connection with them than you would have if you're just talking and about you. But what they're trying to basically gain from the conversation is how their life will be made better through that conversation or whatever you're promoting. So just other than that, remember how badly you guys want it, and if you can show the fire in your eyes, then people are going to see it. So overall, those are the universal strategies. So in a second we're gonna go into the specific ones, but keep those in mind as you go through each of these campaigns. Whatever your campaigns you're running now, next month, the months after, do these things, and you'll be able to have a much stronger connection with people when you're talking to them. If you're running a workshop, any type of communication that you have, you can use this framework, the email electrical connections, and then the couple of tips that I offered afterwards to forge that connection.
Awesome. It was great. And really the last thing that Dan said I think is the most important. How badly do you want it? Because communication is what bridges the gap between where you are and where your patient is, and it's what drives them to take action. So just dig deep and figure out, how badly do I want this person to do what I tell them to do? And if it's really badly, I mean like with every fiber in your being, then find a way to bridge that gap. And what we're going to share with you now is called an empathy map. And we're going to take you through an empathy map for each of the campaigns. So if this is your first time participating in the communication section, you're going to see this is a really fun, like we're trying to talk real quickly because there's so much information to share, but there's 6 questions that you really, as a team, want to go through and answer from the perspective of your ideal practice member. What do they think and feel? What do they see? What do they hear? What do they say and do? And what are their pains? And then finally, the last question is, what do they gain from what you are offering? So we're going to go through the 6 campaigns now, and we are going to answer these questions for you. But as a team, you should go through this exercise. And if you want to go through this exercise from the standpoint of being a chiropractor and just helping and growing your clinic outside of just the campaigns, if you go to simpractic.com/6 questions replay. We have a 60-minute training on how to do this just from the standpoint of like growing your business outside of what we're going to talk about with regards to the event. So Dan, let's get started. I'll take the first one and let's do it.
Cool. For those of you who are viewing, actually everybody, click on my tile in the bottom of your screen so that you can stay on my screen as Jared talks.
I think you may have chosen the August one instead of October.
Oh, that's my bad. Hold on one second.
Yeah, so click on Dan so that it'll show the mind map the entire time, and then you'll be able to, oh, it should say September, I'm sorry, yeah, September, that's the one.
Yep, there we go.
It's very confusing on our side with the months. Like we feel like, because we're already working on, I guess you could say like November and December, and it's like the summer is officially over and the year's almost over, so it's making our time fly. But all right, here we go. So go for it. I'll take the first one.
Cool.
So, the truth about flu shots. This is a powerful program and one where empathy is the key to your success here. So, what are your people thinking and feeling? Well, they feel afraid because the flu shot is coming, and
Oh, I think we lost him. Hold on one second, guys. He's coming right back in, guys. 1 second. Looks like his computer kicked him off. You're right, Mike. It's happened. They've finally taken over Google. All right, 1 minute.
all right, everybody, sorry about that. I just got kicked out. I am back. All right, so what are your people thinking and feeling? They feel afraid because the flu season is coming and they don't want anyone in their family to suffer. Remember, we're thinking from the perspective of a layperson. The flu season is coming. They hear this all over the news, remember that, and they're afraid. They don't want anyone in their family to suffer. They think about making this very important decision and the stresses that it causes, and they feel overwhelmed. Remember, we're thinking from the perspective of the people who are entering your clinic and the people who aren't even entering your clinic. All right, let's keep going. What do they see? They see signs for flu shots at CVS and at Walmart. It's all they can see, right? We know this. They see the news talking about how bad the flu season will be this year. They see other people waiting in line for a flu shot. So I get this, right, guys? Like, this is a crazy concept. Why would anybody get a flu shot? But because it makes sense. They don't want to get sick, and the flu shot would prevent that from happening. Now, obviously, we know there's a different strategy, but this is all that they see. But what do they hear? They hear about children and adults who suffer because of the flu. They hear that it is mandatory for them to get a flu shot in their business. My fiance was in grad school last year, and her school told her it was mandatory. I mean, we had to fight this thing tooth and nail. She obviously did not get the flu shot, but that's what she was told. That's all that she knew. Now, obviously, she knew it on a whole other side because of her just being with me and what I've exposed her to. But this is what your people are hearing. They hear about people dying from getting the flu shot. So they hear that also. They also hear about the death, what people experience when having a flu shot. What does this lead to? Just pure overwhelm. All right, let's keep going. What do they say and do? The flu shot makes sense. It will prevent the flu. I don't want my family to suffer. I have no other choice. This is what your people are saying to themselves. Yes, now think about it. If you didn't know what you know, wouldn't the flu shot make sense? It's going to prevent me from getting the flu. All right, what are their pains? Well, their pain is overwhelm. When you're in a position where you need to make a very important decision with regard to your health and you don't know what's right or what's wrong and you're hearing two sides of the conversation, overwhelm is an immediate emotional response. Fear of sickness, that's a pain, and the need to fit in and avoid controversy. Think about my fiance. She's in grad school. 99% of her class is getting the flu shot, and she's the one that's fighting with the school nurse, fighting with the dean of her program, and she didn't care about fitting in, but some people do. Some people really want to fit in. They don't even want to deal with the controversy. This is where your practice members are. This is where your community is. What can they gain if they come to the program? if they come to the workshop. They can learn a healthy alternative to the flu shot. They're going to be able to keep their family safe, and they're going to meet other people who believe in what they believe. So how do we use this? Well, when we go through this exercise and we go through these 6 questions with your team, it allows you to now walk in the shoes of the ideal candidate to attend this program, whether they're active or they're inactive or they're someone that you just met in the supermarket. And when you can walk in their shoes in your dialogue with them, in your communication with them, they're going to say, wow, Dr. Hassel, he gets me. I'm going to come to the workshop. All right, Dan, you take it away.
Cool. So up next is the 7 Reasons campaign. So 7 Reasons Why Your Kids Need Chiropractic Care. And the first question that we're going to hit is think and feel. What do they think and feel on a regular basis? So these are going to be parents. So think about the ideal target audience of parents. So chiropractic is dangerous for my kid or kids. I want to raise healthy kids, but I don't know how, and I think that I can't afford chiropractic for my entire family. So these are things that they're thinking and that you should readily and immediately bring up in the conversation so that it catches their attention. Next, hear. What do they hear? They hear people telling me not to bring my child to a chiropractor. They hear about kids who are being raised with poor habits that are shortening their lifespan, and they hear their own spouse saying no to chiropractic care for the kids. Maybe that spouse even had a bad experience. So you want to address that, and you want to be aware that they have these kinds of things in their life that are pushing them away from the chiropractic lifestyle, and you want to bring them closer. You basically want to address them one by one and say, okay, I understand that you've been hearing this and hearing that, and you want to use that language. All right, next up, what do they say and do? They say that their pediatrician said no to chiropractic care. Well, why? You want to ask those questions. You want to prompt them to think a little bit deeper. I gave my child cough medicine when they were sick. I'm going to give my child a flu shot so they don't get sick this year. So these are the kinds of things that you should immediately jump on and say, well, why? You want to ask, why do they do these things? Why do they say these things? And often the answer is, well, because everybody else does, or that's because that's how I've always done it, or that's how my parents did it. Those are the kinds of openings that you've got to dig a little bit deeper and pry at them and ask some questions that will cause them to start thinking. Next up, what do they see? They see friends who do not bring their kids to the chiropractic office. They see other kids taking antibiotics, and they see their own spouse who's not buying in and is in many ways pushing back and making it next to impossible to live a chiropractic lifestyle. So in these situations, you want to, number one, you want to recognize that they see these things on a regular basis. You want to, use the language and say, I know that you see other kids taking antibiotics, but I want you to know X, Y, and Z. All right, that's how you should frame this in terms of language. But you should also just have a conversation about it. If they have a big issue with their spouse who's not buying in, that should be a conversation that, in and of itself, if it needs to be. You want to gauge where their biggest focus is in terms of these worries, in terms of the things that they see, hear, think, and feel, and say and do, and figure out where the highest leverage point is for you in terms of having a conversation where you can deliver the most value. So on a higher level, what are their pains in this particular situation as it relates to this campaign? They don't know what to do. That is the number one thing. They have uncertainty. And if you go all the way back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, fear of uncertainty and just the need to have a certain future and know what to expect is incredibly important to people. So you're going to be eliminating this. We'll get into that in a second. My child is suffering and my spouse does not agree. These are other pains that they're experiencing, and these are pains that will basically be directly eliminated through your campaign and through this event. So, speaking of which, what are the gains that they get? So each of these are going to offset the pains that they're experiencing right now. They'll first and foremost have healthy and vital kids using the information they learn. They'll have relief of the stress associated with knowing what's right, but not be able to make it happen. So that's something that you should immediately shine a light on. So next up, an entire family who gets it. These are things that they want, and they want their spouse to be bought in. They want their child to be healthy. They want to experience, the satisfaction of knowing and being certain of the fact that their family is healthy and their whole family is bought into the chiropractic lifestyle. These are the gains that they will experience, and you want to, when you're having a conversation with them, end on this and say, if the conversation was about their spouse, then you want to end on this vision of an entire family who gets it. And so they'll start to buy in, and they'll start to say, okay, I'm going to have a conversation with them, or I'm going to bring my kid in next time, or whatever that is, so that they can start, seeing that for themselves. So that's for the 7 Reasons campaign. Next up, Jared, I think you got this one, got Doctored.
Awesome. So Doctored, as you know, is the movie screening. Awesome campaign whenever you guys decide to do it. So let's go with it. So what are your people, the people in your community, thinking and feeling? Not just your practice members, just people at large. They think about how the medical system does not feel right, but they are still confused. And don't you get that vibe? Like, people are, like, they're not buying in the way that they used to, but like they still just don't know what to do. But they know that the medical system as a sole path doesn't seem to be what they desire. They feel overwhelmed because health is an extremely controversial topic. And they feel like they want to meet other like-minded people. That's a very important piece to focus on here, because no one wants to make these types of decisions alone. And if you can expose them to a group of like-minded people that will really support them, it helps them make this type of decision. Well, now what do they see? Well, they see people, maybe even themselves, taking a pharmaceutical cocktail. I mean, tons of prescriptions from all different specialists. No one knows how they're going to work together or not, and that's what they see. They see the news talking about the launch of another drug. You can't go on the news without there's some discussion around the pharmaceutical industry. And they see their medical doctor who says the exact opposite of you. This is what they're seeing. All right, what else? Let's keep going. What do they hear? They hear about the dangers of medication, and they also hear about the benefits of medication. What does that mean? Confusion, overwhelm, stress. They hear about the controversy surrounding healthcare and just the healthcare crisis, both financially and with regards to the people that are being hindered in the process and possibly even killed in the process because of the medical doctors that are prescribing in a way that doesn't suit what that person needs. And they hear it is expensive to be healthy. Remember, this is the people that you're looking to target. They're not you who recognizes that you invest now and you save later. It's expensive to be healthy. What are they saying and doing? I want my significant other to get it. So there's a very good chance right now that you're seeing one person that is in a relationship and their spouse or significant other is not currently a practice member, and they really want that person to get it. This could be the perfect event to make that happen. They're also saying that I believe that medicine is the answer. There's a chance they've been conditioned to believe this, but don't be frustrated about that. Look at it as an opportunity to educate. And then they also say, I will listen to my medical doctor. Okay, yes, there's a possibility that you have a little bit of an uphill battle to climb. This documentary conveys the truth, backed by research, and it's extremely compelling. All right, let's keep going. What is their pain? Their pain is that they don't know the truth. That's an extreme pain. Their pain is that they might be taking medications, or they know people that are taking medications, but they're still sick and possibly even worse. And then the ultimate pain is overwhelm. It's what Dan was talking about before. People that just don't know what decision is right or what's wrong, it's a huge stress, it's a huge overwhelm, and it's not where you want your people to be. So what are they going to gain if they were to come to Doctored? Let's go there. So they're going to get their questions answered. There's a very good chance that you're going to have a panel of experts. So after the film is done, they're going to be able to ask questions. They're going to learn about an alternative to everything that they've been told. An alternative to everything. They're told one thing, and here's the alternative, a different belief system, and they're going to meet like-minded community members. That's a very important piece to highlight, because no one wants to make these types of decisions by themselves. All right, Dan, I'll turn it over to you.
Awesome. All right, so next up is Chiropractic's birthday party, and we're going to jump right in. So people who want to come to this event, what do you think that they're thinking and feeling about? They think that chiropractic's not for me. They're disconnected from that world, they're not familiar with it, and all that they've heard about chiropractic is what's on the news. They think about dozens of people who would be perfect for the office. Now that's the other side of it. These are people who are incredibly familiar with your office, they're incredibly familiar with chiropractic, and they want to refer people. So you want to think about this on both ends of the spectrum here. Next, they feel pain because many people in their life are suffering the same way that they did prior to coming to your office. So these are basically your evangelists. These are people who are totally on board with the chiropractic philosophy, and they would refer as many people as possible to you. So you want to talk to these people and be aware that of who is thinking and feeling what, and tailor your conversation to them appropriately. Next up, what do they see? They see people in their life who are suffering. They see people taking a ton of pharmaceutical drugs, and people who go to a chiropractor and are enjoying life. So you want to differentiate these groups of people. You want to segment them and say, okay, well, what is the group that is taking drugs and suffering have in common, and what does the group who are going to a chiropractor and enjoying life have in common? And 10 times out of 10, the group that is enjoying life is, one thing that they have in common is they go to a chiropractor. I'm sure that they, all are active and eat healthfully and have amazing families, and happiness abounds as well. But they all go to see a chiropractor, and that's really what is at the core. So you want to basically highlight that for them. Next up, what do they hear? They hear chiropractic doesn't work. It's going to take a long time to get healthy. They hear that there's always a pill that will make them feel better. There's something that'll cure, whatever ails them. They hear that you only need a chiropractor if you're in pain. They hear chiropractic is not for children because it's dangerous. Now, these are basically things that you can latch onto, once again, and offer research, offer stories, offer testimonials, basically talk to other patients in the office about what they've experienced as it relates to each of these things, and one by one address them. And maybe one person doesn't have all of these worries, but these 5 things that people hear, the people who you want to come to this event, this is what you're going to have to approach and say for each of them. If you hear chiropractic doesn't work, okay, well, what are you looking for? What are your goals? And from there, we can figure out whether or not it will work and help you, get to where you want to be. Those are the kinds of things that you should be, countering with each of these. Next, what do they say and do? They say that they're going to live with their chronic pain. They're just going to deal with it because they've been overwhelmed for too long. They don't want to deal with it anymore, and they've given up. They say, chiropractic does not work. They say when you start with a chiropractor, you'll go forever. I wish my husband or wife would take better care of themselves. I can't afford a year of care. My doctor said that I should stop seeing my chiropractor. So these are things that they say and do, and each of these has a unique response. So think about what you would say to each of these if given the situation where somebody said, well, I've heard that when you start with a chiropractor, you're just going to go forever, that it never ends. And there are popular responses to that. The dentist one's one of my favorites, and there are ways that you can answer that, which is in your own way. But be prepared for each of these. Next up, pains. They're in pain because they're a victim to their health condition. They worry about the health of their children and their entire family. They worry about their finances. So you're drawing some parallels to the last couple of questions, right? So their job creates enormous pains. They have no time for the things they enjoy, and they're not accepted because they chose the wellness lifestyle and did not vaccinate their children. So this would be somebody from your practice or somebody at least in the wellness mindset. So these are pains that people are experiencing that can be offset by your campaign. So for example, if they're not accepted because they didn't vaccinate their kids, they can then enter a network of people who are wellness minded, who do vaccinate their kids and who they feel welcome among. So that brings us to the gains. So number one, they get out of pain. If they've been living with chronic pain for a long time, this is an event where you can basically reveal to them how they can get out of it. Their children will grow up without the typical medical journey that most parents experience, and in some cases indoctrinate their kids within. They have more energy and a clear frame of mind. They'll experience more out of life, improve their self-esteem, and avoid lifestyle diseases. Now, if you introduce all of those gains to somebody who is saying, I don't fit into my social circles because I didn't vaccinate my kids, I'm in chronic pain all the time, my whole family is unhealthy, and then you tell them, well, if you come to this event, this is what you'll experience, this is what you'll gain, and if you bring your whole family, then most of those things that you were talking about will not be an issue anymore. Then you have a much higher likelihood of getting that family into the office. All right, so that's gains, and next up we have the Teachers Referral Month. Jared, you want to take it?
Awesome. Yeah, and just on this note, I was thinking when you were talking, I had this conversation, it was like 10 days ago or so. I was at this event, and I was talking about what we do and how we work with all these chiropractors and how we're really looking to bring chiropractic to the world. And the person I was speaking with said to me, "Oh man, I don't believe in chiropractic. I had the worst experience." And I said to them, "Okay, tell me about it." And they talk about their experience, and it didn't sound good. And I said, "Okay, have you gone to any other chiropractor?" And they said, "Oh no, I'm done." And I said to them, "Have you ever gone to a bad restaurant?" And they said, "Yeah, of course." I'm like, "So does that mean that you now don't eat out?" And they're like, "Well, of course not." And it's important to recognize that, is that not all chiropractors are created equally. So there's a chance that someone's previous experience is with a chiropractor that isn't you. And that experience might have been dramatically different if it was with you. So just remember, we're in the world of empathy, and this is what's important to do, is to really be able to walk in the shoes of your practice member. All right, let's keep going. Teachers Referral Month. So what are people thinking and feeling? Well, they feel that they want their child to experience a life filled with success and health. They think about how much chiropractic care has benefited their life and how they want anyone who has influence over others to benefit the same. They think that their child's teacher needs to experience chiropractic care because the life of a teacher is filled with stress. So think about this. The candidate that you're possibly speaking with here is a parent, maybe it's the superintendent, maybe it's even a teacher for that matter, and this is where they are. This is what they're thinking about on a regular basis. Now, what are they seeing? They see children that are growing up obese and unhealthy. They see teachers who are stressed at work dealing with 20-plus students in their class. And they see their own child as someone with limitless potential, but they need to become exposed to healthy habits. And there's a huge benefit for them to get their teacher into your office, because as a result of them coming into your office, now they are exposed to healthy habits, which then translate into the classroom. All right, let's keep going. What do they hear? They hear about their child's day in school and how the teacher brought in donuts. That must bother that parent immensely when they're trying to raise a healthy child. They hear about children who are suffering from lifestyle conditions because of the choices that they make. And they hear other parents talking about the drama that takes place in the classroom, the politics, and how much stress the teacher must be experiencing. And what's the best way to handle that stress? Obviously, the chiropractic lifestyle. All right, let's keep going. What do they say and do? I want my child to have a teacher who is on top of their game. I want my child's teacher to experience the chiropractic lifestyle. I am not sure how to get my child's teacher into the clinic. There's a very good chance that that's what they're saying to themselves. When you approach them with this opportunity, their default is, wow, this is great. How do I go about and do it? How do I get people into the clinic when it comes to this special opportunity? What are their pains? Knowing that their child is being exposed to poor health habits in the classroom, that's an enormous pain for a parent. Knowing that their child's teacher is not living optimally because they're not under care, an enormous pain. Think about that. Their teacher is an influencer for their child, and they want to make sure that that teacher is able to live optimally because it'll benefit their child. And what is their pain? The superintendent recognizes that the teachers are stressed and this is going to cause damage. Think about this. You can take this campaign yourself directly to the superintendent and possibly gain exposure to hundreds of teachers at one time. Huge opportunity, and this is on the mind of the superintendent. All right, let's keep going. What are their gains? The teachers thrive, the students thrive, and the community thrives. This is a huge opportunity for the chiropractors that are using this campaign, because you can have your patients be the conduits to the teachers, you could have the superintendent be the conduit, the principal, the vice principal, anyone that has access to the teachers, you should introduce this opportunity. It's a big opportunity. Walk in their shoes. Teachers need this more than anyone, and give them the opportunity to experience it. All right, Dan, go for it.
All right, sweet. So next one up, I believe this is the last one, is a master controller. Now this is a really, really popular campaign, so I've been excited to present this to you guys. This is basically the quintessential chiropractic workshop. So when you are thinking about this, think about that. Think about each of these questions in the context of, how you would frame chiropractic. So what do they think and feel? What are the target audience for this campaign think and feel? Number one, chiropractic doesn't make sense. Once you start chiropractic, I'm told that I need to do it forever, and I'm already healthy, my physical said so. So these are the kinds of things that people who are either curious or in some cases, even defensive against chiropractic are thinking, that's what they're feeling, so you want to address that. Next up, what do they see? They see people in their lives who are suffering. They see that their friends are taking the medical route, which is not working. And you can even highlight that and say, I'm sure you've had friends who have X, Y, and Z, conditions. Well, those conditions are actually just, a result of poor lifestyle habits. Those are things that those are visual images that you can conjure in their minds and have them kind of see exactly what you're seeing. Next up, they see the news talking about pharmaceutical drugs. So what can you offer in terms of research and information that will show them that it's not the only option? Next up, what do they hear? They hear that chiropractic is a long-term and expensive commitment. They hear that medicine's making problems even worse, and they hear a completely different philosophy from their medical doctor. So you are on one end of the spectrum, and they are on, or their doctors rather, are on the other. So you want to provide them with the information that's going to cause them to go to your side of the spectrum rather than the opposite. Next up, say and do. What do they say? I want to help my children thrive. I want to raise a healthy family, and I trust my medical doctor. So you want to, if you are facing these kinds of statements, such as I want to raise a healthy family, that's an immediate entry into a really productive conversation. If they say something along the lines of, I trust my medical doctor, you want to say, okay, great. So let me tell you about a couple of things that other patients who also see medical doctors in the office have experienced, the kinds of things that they do and that they've seen in terms of turnarounds. So that's what you should do in relation to what they're saying and doing. So on a higher level, what are their pains? People in their lives are suffering. That is a huge pain. If that's friends, if that's family, somebody who they care about is suffering in some way and experiencing pain in their own right. I'm not living out my full potential. Maybe they're an athlete and they want to run a marathon, or maybe they want to simply be more productive at work. Whatever their full potential is in their minds, find out what it is, and then formulate a plan where they can get there through chiropractic care. I'm overwhelmed and I don't know what to do. So once again, overwhelmed. So this is a recurring theme and you'll see it a lot, and I want you guys to really focus on this, because overwhelmed people and people who have a sense of uncertainty are the ones who are looking for the most guidance. And those are the people who you can help most significantly in their lives. So how can this workshop help? Number one, gain peace of mind, connect with other families, and have fun. So this is something that you should really accentuate, this last point, have fun. You want to make this workshop, you want to make the entire chiropractic experience fun, because a lot of people don't attribute fun with, health, unless you're, some kind of, masochist who loves to run 15 miles every day or something like that. That's something that people don't attribute with naturally in their mind. So you want to accentuate that. You want to say we're having events all the time. They're fun. You can bring their kids. You can learn new things. You can do all these sorts of events that we're putting on a regular basis, and establish that atmosphere of social engagement. They can connect with other families, people who are feeling overwhelmed and uncertain and feel like they're an outcast from other social circles. This is where they can connect. They can have peace of mind. When it comes to people who they know who are suffering, they can bring them into the office. If they're suffering themselves, which in many cases they are if they're coming to an event like this, you can provide them with a game plan and a way to reach that life that they're trying to ultimately achieve. So these are the gains from this particular event. It's an incredibly powerful workshop. If you can get a lot of people there, the more the better turnout, the more powerful the experience for people, because you'll have stories being shared, and these gains, these 3 gains up here are only the beginning to what people could really experience through it. So that is I believe the last one for the September campaigns. Yep, that's the last
Awesome.
one. So great. Why don't we finish up?
Yeah, so we'll do questions. I have 4 that have been sent to me. I don't know if we'll be able to answer them all in time, but we'll stay extra just to get them answered. So if anybody that's viewing can't hang on, you can just watch the replay after. But Mike V, we'll start with you. Any questions, my man?
Just a general one about once you do a teleseminar and record it, what do you guys find are the best ways to leverage that going forward to use it as a tool once it's there and recorded?
Do you have iRadio set up on your site?
Not yet. I have the instructions for it, but I haven't set it up yet.
Well, once you have that set up, Jared, you want to jump in?
No, you go for it.
Okay, so once you have that set up on your site, I would use use this targeting concept that we talk about. So whenever somebody comes into the office, you know them, you understand what they're looking for, what their goals are, and the teleseminars that you've done in the past, you'll eventually have a library of them if you don't already. And this is still incredibly relevant information that you can still use. So if somebody is, say that you're doing a delivered, you did a delivered teleseminar, and that was recorded, or you recorded a workshop even, then you could direct them to that particular recording on your site and have them listen to it, and then give you a call after, or as they're listening, if they have questions, give you a call, or somebody at the office a call. So that's what I would recommend. So have 2 steps. One is that they go and listen, and the second step is that you follow up, or they follow up with you, so that you can kind of debrief them, answer any questions that came up as a result of it. But you want to maintain the engagement that they've got after going to that recording.
Would it be good to use it as like right on the homepage as a way to, enter your email here to get this free teleseminar?
I don't necessarily think that. Maybe once you have a few, that could be an option, because it could be like an audio series versus just one. Unless like the topic that you talk about is broad enough. What I don't want you to do is like narrow your focus where it's just about like delivered as that example. Let's just pretend you did that as a teleseminar or webinar, and then that's what they think that you do. Like I would rather it be something that more people can benefit from than just that really small audience. So which teleseminar are you doing?
Well, we did get it together. We have Up and Away, and next month we're doing the 7 reasons kids need chiropractic.
Yes, so you could do that now that you have a few, where we package them together, and it becomes like a sign up for our audio library. And once they sign up, they can be told that they'll be made aware of updates whenever it gets updated. And once you have access to the back end, you'll be able to update people regularly with that, and then that'll direct them to a page where all of those audios live. And then you could also, when in conversation with somebody, direct them to that page in particular and say, just go to this page because you're really going to benefit from this resource. So now that you have a few, it would make sense. So get your iRadio account set up, add the audios there, and then we can set that up for you so people can sign up for all of them.
Great, thanks guys.
Cool, awesome. Any other questions? All right, so there was 4 that were submitted. So if anybody needs to jump, please feel free to jump, but we'll go through all 4 just so everybody gets their questions answered. So one of them was sent over, says, I believe that I want it badly, but for some reason there is always this little voice inside that holds me back. What do you recommend that I do? That's a very honest, so whoever submitted that, I appreciate that. And I'm sure there are other people that feel that way also, where like part of them, like they're like their conscious mind is like, yeah, of course I want it badly. I want to serve people. I'm a chiropractor. And then like subconsciously, there's something that just keeps on tugging them back. Like it's like this anchor that just holds them back from having the practice in life of their dreams. And what it comes down to is this, is that all of us have been exposed to things in our lives. And those events that have taken place, they are what they are, and then whatever words you attach to that event becomes decisive. It becomes the story that you live by. So let's just use an example. Let's say that you did a marketing campaign, you did a patient appreciation day, and no one showed up, right? So the event that took place is that you had an event called the patient appreciation day, and no one showed up. The words that you can attach to that patient appreciation day is, well, this is an opportunity for me to learn more effective marketing techniques and to get the message out to a larger audience and to go on meetup.com and to connect with other like-minded people so that my next event is filled and it's exciting and it's fun. Or the story that you tell yourself is, no one's interested in what I have to offer, I'm not going to market anymore. And it's the exact same event. No one showed up to the patient appreciation day. What story are you attaching to that event? Well, this might apply to a one-on-one patient interaction. Let's say that you had a discussion with a practice member or a potential practice member, and they said, there's something I'm not really ready to start care yet. Well, what you can attach to that is, I need to educate them more. I need to drip on them. I need to invite them to different events so they can be exposed to other people that are living the life that they desire. Or the story that you attach to that could be, no one wants what I have to offer, why did I decide to become a chiropractor? It all comes down to your story. So the way that you can get that little voice to just all of a sudden dissipate is by changing your story. Sounds easier than it actually is, because it requires incredible awareness, and when that little voice begins to show up, you just replace it with a loud booming voice of a different story. So there's a recommendation, and run with that, and share on Facebook if you would like to, what transpires when you begin to shift the story. Next question is, what is the best way to get my staff to get people to sign up? Dan, I know you have some good ideas around this. Do you want to share?
Yeah, the best thing that you can get your staff to do is, number one, sit down and talk about the event. A lot of people assume that the staff knows what's going on just by, extension of, reading the posters and having one or two, side comments from you. But the best thing that you can do is sit down and have a conversation with them and say, this is what's happening with the event, this is how it's going to work, and this is who's responsible for what. That means that everybody knows what's going on and they understand, the ins and outs of the event itself. Especially if it's a workshop. If it's a workshop, you definitely need to do that and let everybody know what their responsibilities are. But the next thing that I would do is just motivate them, get them excited, and like what we were saying back when during the earlier talk, incentivize them and say, this is the goals. These are the goals that we set for this event. This is however many new patients that we want to get out of this, and if you guys help us hit this goal, then we'll do X, Y, and or Z. And put that carrot out in front of them and say, I'm willing to reward you guys and reward the office for really great performance. And that's a really important thing to keep in mind when you want to get your staff really involved and excited about the events.
Yeah, that's great. And the first point is so important. Like, get them involved in the planning process. Don't just expect, just because you're doing it, that they're going to know what their role should be. So that's a really valuable insight. Next question, great question here. How many businesses do you recommend getting involved with for a doctored? So this really comes down to where you're hosting the event. If it's at a large community facility, then yeah, go all out. Get 5 to 7 to maybe even 10 businesses. Make this a huge event. If it's just going to be in your clinic, then maybe like 2 or 3 makes sense, because what you don't want to do is have all these businesses set up with tables, and now there's no room for people to actually experience the film. So it really comes down to your location, and then also comes down to how many businesses that you feel aligned with philosophically, where it would make sense to invite them. And that would be the way that I would do it. If I was you and I was having this event, I would make this a larger event. I would have I'd host it at some community facility, whether it was a YMCA or a JCC or a school or a church or a synagogue, somewhere that lot of people could come, and I would go to have 7 to 10 vendors at that event that could set up tables, and they could introduce what they're offering and make it really community focused, but their responsibility would be that they'd have to actually market it. So that's the advice there. And then the final question is, how will someone benefit from Master Controller if they've never been to a chiropractor? Okay, great question. And then what they wrote after is, I know why, but I'm just curious as how you would answer this. So Master Controller is like the ultimate chiropractic workshop. It's the way for you to tell the entire chiropractic story. And the way someone's going to benefit if like they're not currently a practice member, because there's a chance that you're going to have this dialogue with a practice member with the goal that they go out and invite other people. And the way that I would introduce this if I was you is that I would empathize and I would recognize that most people have been taken down this path called medicine that has offered no outcome that they desired, and they just feel lost and they feel out of control. And the goal of this workshop is to expose you to an entirely different path called the chiropractic lifestyle, because your central nervous system is the master controller of your entire body. And that's what we focus on as a chiropractor. And that would be the dialogue that I have. So the benefit that someone's going to gain here is they're going to learn about a different path, because what they're doing is currently not working, and you just want to expose them to a new way of thinking and possibly a strategy that can change their lives. And for someone who is really seeking, this is a great opportunity for them. They're absolutely going to love it. So those were the 4 questions that were submitted. Other questions, we're just going to kind of turn those off now because it's getting a little bit late. Submit them to support@synduit.com. And we'll be able to support you with that. In closing, next week we're going to focus on the little things that make a world of difference for September campaigns, so make sure you show up for that. Shout out to the active Facebook participants. So Dr. Emil Tompkins rocked it his first week, 20 new patients, so that's the epitome of how badly do you want it. Well, Dr. Emil wants it, and that's why he's making it happen. Julia Kaiser, Mike V, Stephen Bordage, Karen Jaff, Lee Goldenberg, Nicole Rothman, all of you, wonderful job using Facebook. Very active. Keep posting resources, ideas, success stories. The power is in the pack. In addition, please be on the lookout for emails from us over the next 2 weeks regarding social media integration into the website, disclaimers, and things of that nature. We want to get you fully set up so that once we give you access to the dashboard, you're just off and running. We will have trainings. We already have training videos, so you're set. You're not going to be left on your own. We are here to support you. I put a challenge out to the team, so I want to also challenge all of you to support this as well. The challenge is 200 more chiropractors join the tribe by September 30th. Who do you know? Because I know that you know at least one person, probably 5, that need to be part of the tribe. Get them exposed to what you're involved with, because it will benefit chiropractic, and obviously it will benefit you because you get paid for each person that joins. And then in closing, I want to share an awesome image with all of you. So let me just show you the quote.
For those of you who still have me clicked, click on Jared's tile to see it.
So the quote is from Abraham Lincoln. The man who is incapable of making a mistake is incapable of anything. And the reason I share that is because what I've seen in chiropractic over the years are chiropractors who are afraid. And they're afraid to make a mistake. They're afraid to put themselves out there. And that's incapacitating, which means that you're incapable of doing anything. You need to be okay to make a mistake and learn from it. You need to put yourself out there. There have been countless things that we have done here at SynDuit over the past 3+ years that would be deemed like royal mistakes. Like why did you do that? But we did it, and we learned from it, and we became better as a result. And the same holds true for you. If you want it as badly as many of you claim, it's time to give yourself the permission to make the mistake, bounce back from it, learn from it, and become even more powerful than ever before. So we appreciate your time as always. We had tons of people viewing this week. If that's better for you, perfectly fine. But please remember, you can always enter the live conversation. It's a lot of fun to be in this room with us because we get a chance to look at you and talk with you, and we can then rock the world with chiropractic. So everybody, thank you for your time. Enjoy the week, and we will speak to you next week.